Morning, everybody. Morning, Mike.
Morning.
9:05. I suppose we should call the meeting to order. We've got a good number of people in attendance today. It's 9 o'clock, June 23, 2022. Lake County Council of Mayors Transportation Committee. We're going to go ahead and get started. Usually start out with a round of introductions, and instead of doing that, we're doing roll call. My name is Bob Phillips, Village Deerfield Committee Chair. Mike, can you do roll call, please?
Sure. I'll start with municipal representatives first. Mark Huber, Beach Park.
Present.
Andrea Larson, Buffalo Grove.
Present.
We got Bob Phillips from Deerfield. Kayla Noonan, Fox Lake.
Here.
Erica Frable, Hawthorne Woods.
Here. Morning.
Jeff Hansen, Lake Bluff.
Here.
Drew Irvin, Lake Bluff. Byron Kutz, Lake Forest.
Here. Sorry, I was trying to get off mute.
No problem.
Byron here.
Kevin Carrier, Lake County DOT.
Present.
Joe Serdam, Lake County DOT. Here. Jeff Cooper, Libertyville.
Here.
Fred Chung, Libertyville.
Here.
Wally Dietrich, Lincolnshire.
Here.
Clay Johnson, Lindenhurst.
Here.
Mayor Jacob, Long Grove.
Yep, here.
Bob Miller, North Chicago.
Here.
Steve Shields, Round Lake.
Present.
Mayor Rybeck, Wadsworth.
Here in Wadsworth.
Jesus from Waukegan.
Present.
There any other municipal folks I missed? All right, and then we have Rick Mack from Metra.
Present.
Alex Hosa, IDOT.
Here.
Russell Petroviak, CMAP.
Here.
Ed Gallagher, PACE.
Present.
Linda Soto from PACE.
Morning.
Dan Brinkman.
Morning.
Joel Christel.
Morning.
Scott Trubicki.
Here.
Greg Elwinger.
Present.
Jeff Hosa.
Here.
Kristen Kalatowski.
Here.
Dave Krieger.
Here.
Ben Metzler.
Here.
Dwayne Laughlin. Dan Shug.
Here.
John Vanna.
Morning here.
Tom Gill.
Morning here.
Steve Sislicka.
Here.
Did I miss anyone else? All right, we do have a quorum.
Thanks, Mike, and welcome again, everybody. Before we get started, if I could remind everybody to just mute your mics if you're not getting ready to speak. I been getting a little bit of feedback over here on this side from some. Other than that, our first item on the agenda is approval of the meeting minutes from April 21st meeting. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve is presented, Mr. Chair.
Got a motion from Mayor Rybeck.
Second Beach Park.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Roll call, Mike.
Yes. All right. Beach Park.
Aye.
Buffalo Grove.
Yes.
Deerfield.
Yes.
Fox Lake.
Yes.
Hawthorne Woods.
Aye.
Lake Bluff.
Yes.
Lake Forest.
Yes.
Lake County DOT.
Yes.
Libertyville.
Yes.
Lincolnshire.
Yes.
Lindenhurst. Long Grove.
Yes.
North Chicago.
Yes. Yes.
Round Lake.
Aye.
Wadsworth.
Yes.
Waukegan.
Yes.
All right.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, moving into agency reports. I think Katie is not in today, so we don't have a Bureau programming report. We'll move right into Alex Hosa with your local roads and streets. Alex?
Good morning. This is Alex Hosher from IDOT Local Roads. I want to refer everyone to our status sheets. I don't have a lot of changes since last time we met. The only change I have as of yesterday, item number 9, Lake County DOT, Deerfield Road from Milwaukee Avenue to Sanders Road. The FHWA has approved the FONSI, and we are processing the combined design report and EA approval memo in the next day or two, hopefully by early next week, max. And that's all what I have. I will be around if you have any more questions for later on. And I'm waiting for anyone if any questions or anything like that.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Bob.
Any questions?
Bob, I do see that Ray Roberts from Zion has joined us. Just wanted to acknowledge.
Good morning. Okay, moving on to the CMAP report. Mary Weber.
It's actually going to be Russell Petroviak, pinch hitting for Mary, so not a problem.
Good morning, Russell.
Well, couple things. The long range plan on 22050, the updated tip and the conformity analysis of the long range plan and the updated tip were released for public comment last week, and that'll go out until August 13th. So it's a longer period, 60-day public comment. So if anybody's interested in providing comments on all those things that wind up being the criteria that you use for checking ST
Join the meeting.
projects, this is your time to look at the priorities that are in the plan and provide comments on that. The other thing, and this was actually sent out, if you're not on CMAP's email distribution list, you should sign up for that at our webpage. There will be a number of funding announcements from FHWA and USDOT and the like, some of which are for new programs. So 2 of them, we've sent out an email about them today. They are the Safe Streets for All and the Bridge Investment Program. So both of these are competitive programs. What's unique about what's going on in this new infrastructure bill is, in addition to having new programs, and you might think Bridge is not new, but Bridge actually is a new program. There wasn't dedicated bridge funding under the previous infrastructure bill. Bridge projects were done using other funds. Now there's a dedicated revenue stream for Bridge that comes to the state annually, and there's also the competitive program. What's unique though is that different entities can apply. So in the past, it was mainly an IDOT-led process for applying for these funds. That is no longer the case. So MPOs can apply, counties, cities, towns, and transit agencies, multi-jurisdictional groups. So there's a whole bunch of folks that can apply. Mike can probably just send out a link later on. I don't have it to post in the chat, sorry. But what you want to do is if you're going to apply as a local municipality, you want to try to get support, and CMAP does offer letters of support, or if there's a requirement that you be in the TIP, we provide letters that say that if this project was granted funds, it would be eligible to be put into the TIP and things of that nature, which we've been doing on, and Mike would know this, we've been doing this on the congressional, whatever those are called, the designated projects or things of that nature. So going forward, there will be more of these grant opportunities. There will be more opportunities for local municipalities to apply that didn't exist in the past. So I just want you to keep aware of those things. I'll try to send Mike the link on how you can get signed up for the website. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you, Russell. Any questions for Russell? Okay,
Just drop the link in the chat to sign up for CMAP's newsletter.
Thanks. I couldn't do it while I was talking.
No worries.
Okay, moving on to the Metro report. Rick?
Good morning, everybody. I'll start with Metro ridership, give you an update on that. Metro's ridership as of right now is on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we are exceeding 40% of our pre-pandemic amount. So that's good news. We're slowly climbing. On Monday and Fridays, we're between 25 and 30% of those pre-pandemic levels. So obviously, that's you're seeing the new hybrid working schedule going on right now. And we expect that's going to be the case, going to be the new normal. So also what we've done to try and increase ridership is starting on July 1st, we are offering what we call a $100 Super Saver Pass. And that is our monthly pass. Metro's traditional monthly pass will be $100 for everybody for the full month, unlimited rides. And this will go on for 3 months. And our goal here is we're obviously targeting all our commuters as they return back to the office, but also those who have been driving to the office and have an option to take Metro or public transportation, to make this basically, as our Executive Director Jim Dwinski called it, a no-brainer, that they will then return to Metro and public transportation and leave their car at the train station. There's also the pass that CTA and PACE, the $30 regional connection pass, is also being introduced. As far as the strategic plan, Metro is embarking on updating our strategic plan. We sent a press release out regarding soliciting feedback from riders and stakeholders across the region. The goal is to get the comments back here by this fall and to get this to the Metro Board for approval by later this fall. So again, if hopefully you've received that news release. Any comments, questions you may have, Metro would appreciate. Finally, on our ticket vending machines, as far as the northern part of the region, which is my responsibility, Lake and McHenry County, we have met with all the, we've either met or got approval from all the first phase of stations. Only exception is Waukegan. We are trying to set a meeting up with Waukegan as soon as possible. The goal here is to get the pads down for the ticket vending machines this summer, fall, and then those ticket vending machines will begin to be installed right after the first of the year in early 2023. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay, thank you.
A couple comments. I think that Super Saver Pass is awesome. It's a great idea. And we had in Deerfield here, we met with some of the Metro folks to locate the pads for the new ticketing station. So it seemed like that went pretty smoothly, and I know those ticketing stations will be going in here pretty soon. So it seems pretty efficient. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bob.
PACE report. Moving on to Ed Gallagher. Ed.
Hi, good morning. Thanks, Bob. Ed Gallagher, PACE Suburban Bus. Got some good news with ridership. PACE's North Division, our Waukegan garage, May 2022 ridership was at 60% pre-pandemic levels. PACE's fixed right ridership across the whole region is up 22% compared to this time last year. And then Ride Lake County has completed 1,801 total trips in the month of May. And that's the new cross-county dial-a-ride service for individuals 60 or older or with disabilities. So that's seen a great turnout so far for the first month of May that it's been operating. At our PACE board meeting in May, the board announced and passed 2 new pilot programs under the van pool program. The first is a part-time ridership discount in traditional van pools. This discount program is designed for employees whom are working in hybrid work environments and as such only need to utilize a van pool ride to the office less than 3 days a week. The discount for those part-time riders would be 50% off the regular van pool rider fare costs. Anyone looking for more information can find more information at PACE's website, pacebus.com/vanpool. We also launched a brand new second pilot program, the creation of Van Go. Van Go is PACE's new self-service transportation option for first and last mile trips from local metro stations to an employee's place of business. The design of Van Go is PACE will place vans and make them available at the Lake Forest and Lake Cook Road metro stations for pre-registered drivers to use for occasional first and last mile trips from metro to place of employment. To reserve the van, an individual has to go through a pre-registration and become a driver within the within the Van Pool program. It can be pre-registered and booked for a day between 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. A PACE representative will confirm a reservation and email and text the driver with the van assignment and a code for the driver to unlock the vehicle when they need to use it on their commute. And the fare for the use of the Van Go vehicle is a $5 round trip. Individuals who would be interested would have to be 23 years or older, have a good driving record, and pass a physical and a drug test, as well as complete an online driver training course through PACE. For more information on this program, you can seek that at pacebus.com/VanGo. And then my last update today is PACE. As PACE works to leverage technology and innovation to modernize its system and create a better passenger experience, a contract with Quebec Incorporated or Transit for a 2-year MOS pilot program was announced at our PACE board earlier this month. Driving Innovation PACE's strategic plan identified the need for PACE to work with a MOS provider to maximize transit access and ensure equitable regional access and system integration. Typically, these are made available through an app. So MOS services will enable users to seamlessly plan, book multiple different types of mobility services such as fixed route, on-demand, or dial-a-ride. This app will eventually allow information from all of PACE's family of services to be accessible in one convenient location, something now possible thanks to recent developments in open data standards. So I'm really excited about the app as well as our new Van Go program. If anyone has any questions, I'm always here to help.
Thank you, Ed. And thanks everybody for your reports. Any questions? All right, moving on to item number 4, Current Lake STP program. Mike?
All right, let me get the right document up here. So starting with our current program before we get into the call for projects and our next set of program. So we are in the last quarter now of the federal fiscal year, which ends in about 3 months on September 30th. We are in good shape for us to spend all of our money. We did provide two projects, a 6-month extension that's for Highland Park's cost increase for Clavey Road and for the phase 2 engineering of Green Bay Road. Both of those do have in the case of the cost increase, their amended agreements into IDOT, and then in the case of the phase 2 engineering, those engineering agreements are also into IDOT. We're just waiting for those agreements to be approved by IDOT, and that's when authorization happens. So as of right now, we have not obligated all of our money, but we are on track to. The last project that we have targeting a letting this year is Round Lake's Wild Spring Road, which submitted agreements for the September letting. So we are in good shape for our 2022 projects and on track to spend all of our money for the year as we did last year. Looking ahead to 2023, we're in good shape with those projects. We do have a request from the village of Vernon Hills on their Lakeview Parkway project, which is targeting right now the January letting in 2023. As many of you may know, as part of our council rules, we put a policy in place that sponsors need to have right-of-way for their projects certified by June 30th prior to the start of the new federal fiscal year. So that's next week for them, with them targeting federal fiscal year 23. Their right-of-way is currently not all certified. They have 4 parcels around the intersection that they're working on. 2 have been submitted to IDOT for certification, and 2 have received counteroffers and are in progress. And so the village is requesting an extension of that June 30th council deadline. IDOT's deadline for right-of-way certification is not until November. The council's is earlier. The purpose of that was not to kick out projects out of our program or push them back for projects that were active and moving forward. It's to minimize risk, because if right-of-way is not cleared, if a project does not get right-of-way, once the new federal fiscal year starts, that starts the obligation clock that they have until the end of the federal fiscal year, or better put, we as the council have till the end of the federal fiscal year to obligate those funds, or they get swept to the redistributed pot at CMAP. So, you know, the intention is to minimize risk to the council that we're not losing construction dollars. But given that they've already submitted 2 parcels for certification to IDOT, and the other 2 are well in progress with counter offers, at the staff level, I feel comfortable, you know, extending this deadline. I think the risk to the council is low. I don't have concern to extend this deadline. I think we could extend it to that IDOT right-of-way certification, and then reevaluate in the fall to see where it's at, and if we need to make adjustments, then we can. You know, at the staff level, I think this is a reasonable request. The project is on track to hit that January letting, and I think we can make this. But given our council rules, I don't think I have the ability as staff to approve this. I do think that the council needs to approve this change. The village's consultant team is on the call today. If there are questions about the right-of-way process or where they're at, they can answer any detailed questions. But they've been in regular contact with me throughout the spring, actually going back to last fall, as this has progressed. So, you know, I do feel comfortable with this extension.
Okay, Bob, Mike, thanks again. Just sort of curiosity, so they, it looks like they got right of way on 2 parcels. They're waiting for 2 more. Is that and what is the scope of the project? Just in, do you know?
Yeah, this is an intersection improvement at Illinois Route 60 and Lakeview Parkway. I believe it's going to add some turn lanes at the intersection. And I believe it also includes a little bit of intersection work at the intersection just to the north of Route 60, which is, I forget the name of the cross street there, but just north on Lakeview Parkway. And basically it's an intersection improvement.
So I'm guessing, so Route 60 being IDOT, so they hopefully, hopefully they are working closely with Warren Hills, because 60 does belong to them. So, all right. Okay.
Mike, I have a question. Is this permanent acquisition or construction easements? What type of right away are we going for here?
I would turn to the consultant team for that, either John or Kristen.
And you can add to that too. What happens if they don't get the easement in time?
Yeah, if the right of way is not, I can answer the second part. If the right of way is not, I would propose that we extend this deadline to the right of way, the IDOT right of way certification deadline. That still gives the council about 10 months to then either move this project out and fill something in, or make adjustments to our program without risking those funds.
Yeah, and I'll just make one other comment. As somebody that drives down 60 all the time, I welcome any improvements there. So that's That's all I'll say. Thanks.
Sorry,
Mike?
Kristen, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no problem. Do you want me to answer the permanent and temporary
Sure.
question? It is a combination of both. There is a permanent right of way due to the addition of the lane, and then there are also temporary construction easements. I will also say that the remaining two parcels, one is a fast food restaurant and one is an office building. The village is very motivated in working with these property owners. On the Portillo's parcel, the village has increased the amount our negotiator can work with in order to accommodate Portillo's. And we had another meeting last week with the office building regarding some landscaping improvements. So there's definite progress, and the village is definitely motivated. Right now, it's just, we're trying to pin down the dollars.
So it sounds like the village and the consultant are doing everything they can to secure the right of way and the easements.
Yes, there have been lots of exhibits.
So my follow-up question then on the acquisition part, if this is acquisition and, you know, whether or not you can reach an agreement will then lead to, you know, eminent domain and that. So Mike, then within that 10-month time frame, do you have enough time to, you know, for court action in order to acquire the property if it's necessary?
I think if they were to get to that point, we would need to reevaluate, do we need to move that project out? You know, I can't speak for the village or where they're at. I know with this being a state route, you know, IDOT does have quick take authority. I don't know if they can use it on this project, but that's another, perhaps another avenue to acquire right of way, but I don't want to speak for the village on whether that's something they're considering if it does get to that point.
And would it be able to be done within that 10 months too? So
I think the quick take probably would, if it does go to condemnation and you're looking at a trial, then we would probably need to look to push this project out and then adjust our program accordingly, just to minimize risk to the council.
Can I ask another question? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, right now, the village is trying to do everything they can to not go through the condemnation process. That's not their goal.
Can I ask another
it's
question? Though?
nobody's goal, but that tends to be the reality sometimes with property owners.
Well, the follow-up question is the other side of it is, what's the benefit to those businesses? Improve traffic flow, et cetera, to their business, right? I imagine there's a benefit, or is there not? Does anyone know?
If there's lost parking, I would think it'd be a benefit.
There is no loss of parking or no loss of access or change in access to their site. There's enhanced bike path, which would be a benefit to these businesses, as well as in general, better traffic flow through the intersection. And
Right,
we have
so-
been trying to make these points to the property owners as well.
So there's benefits to the property owners that could help their businesses and increase business. So they may come to realize that as they work through that. Like, I don't know.
Does Portillo's have a concern of it affecting their drive-through? You know, they have that 2-lane drive-through, which gets pretty busy at times. Does it impact that in any way?
The improvements do not impact that drive-through. They are actually left with a landscape buffer area that's larger than most of the properties in this area. So that's not their concern at this time.
I think the trouble is you're dealing with a large corporation. That's hard to negotiate when you have a lot of red tape at a corporate level like that.
Hey, Mike, this is Erica from Hawthorne Woods. I'm confident that, you know, over the next 4 or 6 months, we'll figure out whether it's going to pan out for Vernon Hills or not. And then, you know, the council can make changes and move something up. We've got plenty of projects that are probably ready to go, right?
Yeah, we do have a number of ready to go projects, and we have a very large contingency list as well as out year projects. So yeah, I don't foresee an issue with us losing funding, even if this project should need to push out. Right now, I don't anticipate that it'll need to push out based on where we're at with the acquisition. And I think it's likely to hit that November date and they'll be on the January letting. I think that's the most likely scenario, but we can reevaluate in the fall if that's not the case, and we can make adjustments.
If you're looking for a motion, I'll make it.
Hawthorne Woods second.
So to move it to the IDOT date, right? That's what
Yeah.
the motion is?
Yep. All right, Mike, roll call.
Let me make note of the motion in second. All right. Beach Park,
Abstain.
Buffalo Grove,
Yes.
Deerfield,
Yes.
Fox Lake,
Yes.
Hawthorne Woods,
Aye.
Highland Park,
Yes.
Lake Bluff,
Yes.
Lake Forest,
Yes.
Lake County DOT,
Yes.
Libertyville,
Yes.
Lincolnshire,
Yes.
Lindenhurst,
Yes.
Long Grove,
Aye.
North Chicago, Round Lake,
Yes.
Wadsworth,
Yes.
Waukegan,
Yes.
Zion.
Yes.
All right, motion passes.
Beautiful.
Moving on to the next, 2022 call for projects. We'll start out with item A, 2023-2027 recommended program. Mike?
All right, so lot to cover here. We received 60 applications during the call for projects, as mentioned at our last meeting. Of those, we scored and ranked 59 of those. The one that we did not was Highwoods project that had been moved to the active program when we got the COVID relief funds last fall. So it's already in the active program. Moving forward, we did score and rank all of the projects. All of the projects were split into one of two buckets, either roadways and intersections or the pavement preservation bucket, which have slightly different scoring methodologies in our council rules. The scoring sheet for each of those was sent out for all of the projects. So all of the individual project scores are available for review. Once all of the scores were put together for both the pavement preservation and the roadways, then all of those projects were combined into a single list based on their score. And then we put those projects into a program builder to start looking at what projects we could fund based on the available funding. So included in the meeting materials was this recommended program. I know there's a lot going on this spreadsheet, and I'll walk everybody through where we're at and how we got there. So the list of projects is here on the left. At the top of the screen in the light green is the projects that are currently in our active program. So those are the projects that were already in our 2021 to 2025 program and were in the out years and are still in the active program. As mentioned previously, with the new infrastructure bill funding, we had about $30.4 million available to program new funds. The council marks are up here in the upper right-hand corner. So in 2023, we have a total of $10.6 million. In 2027, $11.4 million. So we have a total of about $55 million, $55.2 million total available to the council to program in this window. So starting with the projects that new projects, we worked our way down the list with the highest scoring projects and put those in the years that they requested. Projects that are highlighted in this kind of tan orangish color are projects that are in cohort 4 communities, the highest need communities that qualify for the toll credits. So those projects can apply through CMAP once the program is approved to receive toll credits, which would offset the need for a local match. The council program would then program those phases at 100% federal funding, and the region would use those toll credits as the local match. But just for the purposes of our program, so everyone is clear, it is 100% federal funding out of our program. So that is how that is programmed. So project phases that are in the dark green are recommended for funding in this next cycle. And then anything that's listed with the funding in red is either a difference in year or available funding from what the sponsor applied for. So with that said, we have in this proposed program 16 communities receiving funding. There are a number of new projects. There are a number of resurfacing projects and reconstruction projects. We pulled from both lists and worked our way down through the process of how these projects were scored and ranked. As we talked about last time, we received $100 million more in requests than we had available funding. So this was very competitive, and there are a number of projects that are active projects and advancing, have been on the contingency list that are not recommended for funding in this staff recommended program. We have much more need than we have funding available, even with the increased infrastructure bill funding. So we did look to fund projects as close to where they requested funding as possible. That wasn't always the case. In some cases, it's the year after they requested or a different year. In some cases, it's only partial funding. In the case of Lindenhurst's project, in their application, they mentioned that the project could be staged into 2 construction stages. So this includes just one of those stages and not the entire project based on the available funding that we had. And then you'll see that some of the projects later down in the program based on score are not recommended for funding. That's partially due to the amount of funding that they were requesting versus the amount of funding that we had available as we got to those projects, and then partially due to when those projects requested funding. Some of those projects requested funding beyond 2027. And so what we had posted in our council rules is that projects need to be able to fully obligate all their funds within this 5-year period to be able to be programmed in there. The reason for that is once you start obligating federal funds, whether that's for engineering or another earlier phase, it starts a 10-year clock. And if construction funds are not guaranteed, if you get 10 years without getting to construction, you have to repay those federal funds. And we don't want to put a community on the hook for having to repay federal funds because we awarded an earlier phase without being able to fund the construction. So that's the purpose for that, and why we don't program those projects that are asking for funds outside of that 6-year window. Try to minimize risk for the communities. So that's where we are right now. This programs all of our available funding from 2023 through 2027. It leaves us fully programmed, and then we will have obviously a very large contingency list. So basically any of the projects in blue could elect to be on the contingency list. If we spend all of our money in any given fiscal year, we could then apply to CMAP for any available redistributed funds from a prior fiscal year that councils haven't spent. So right now that pot at CMAP is sitting at about $5.9 million. As I mentioned in the last agenda item, we currently aren't able to access that because we have two projects that are still pending authorization. So we technically haven't spent all of our funding for the year yet. But once we do get to the point where we have spent all of our money for the year, we're able to apply. And those funds could be spent by either projects on the active list or the contingency list, as long as they're ready to obligate the funds. So I'll pause there right now, see if there's any questions on this.
Yeah, Mike, Lake Bluff, we've talked about prior. So our project is Green Bay Road. I think it is number 26 on the list here of rankings. I guess, the village thinks that the scoring was inaccurate. We had completed our phase 2 and submitted pre-final plans back in 2020. That wasn't reflected in the scoring, and that cost 20 points, 15 in the project readiness milestone category, and the sustained participation, another 5 points there. I've talked with Mike, I've talked with Bob, we've reviewed all of our applications, all of the guidance, and I guess what it comes down to is there is in the quarterly status update, there's a question about pre-final plans submitted, and there are two correct answers to that question. One is when they were submitted originally. Local Roads doesn't waste their time reviewing plans with no funding, so they're reviewing plans that have funding. I think that's the way it should be. So whenever a project is funded, it has to be submitted again, and we put in that slot when we would submit it again based on our ask for funding. So I think a lot of the changes have been made in the program over the past couple of years, and we thank Mike for all of his tremendous amount of work, and obviously, scoring 59 projects this year. I think it was less than 40 last cycle. So it is a very competitive process, and the stakes are high for all communities, including ours in Lake Bluff. But in reviewing the application submittal requirements, the guidebook, the guidance on the quarterly reports, I guess we kind of go back through it and we feel like everything we submitted was accurate and complete. The date we put on the quarterly plans is looking forward, not backwards. I think that's just kind of an ambiguous question because there are 2 times that you would submit your pre-final plans, and we put in the later one. And when staff did their scoring, they looked to this to see if it had already been submitted. I think the last round of call for projects in 2020, we submitted the same project, and there was questions more specific to that scoring and the status of phase 2, and we were given those points in 2020 because it was completed then, and then in this round we were not given those points, and we kind of just feel that's just an error in scoring. So like I said, I don't see any place, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been going through all the guidebook, the guidance, and I don't see any area where it notes that this question in the quarterly report is the basis for that scoring. And we just kind of feel like that's ambiguous, and it led to an inaccurate scoring. I talked with Bob, I talked with Mike, and both had mentioned that, we could request that we could amend our application, and the village doesn't feel that that should be necessary. We see the pitfalls of amended applications as well as I'm sure everybody else here does. To change what you submitted several months later would lead to a whole lot more work rescoring projects. We just feel like this information that we had our pre-final plans submitted years earlier was known. It was in there. We submitted our application. You get the email back, I think, from Joe that says, hey, if we have any questions, we'll let you know. Apparently, that didn't happen. And I do say that, I understand, I talked with Mike about his process and how he went through all this and how he had to score, all our staff had to score all these applications and the challenges that presents to pull all the information off of each application. And I certainly appreciate all that efforts. I guess our feeling is just with all the changes in the program since the last call, that this is something, like I said before, that was ambiguous. And it led to an error in scoring that is correctable. And I think the village's position is that that error could be corrected and the program
God, get over
rejiggered,
yourself, man.
prior to being released for public comment. You know, it's a multi-million-dollar issue. As Mike said, it is very competitive. These are important projects to all of us, and we just feel like this is a correctable error, and it would lead to the more accurate program. And that's what I think everybody wants, is everything to stand on its own merits. We're not asking for a change in a judgment call or any kind of special consideration, just that the points that the project is worthy of be awarded to it.
Jeff, can I step in here for a second? And Mike,
Surely.
so I think we all hear what you're saying, and you know, I think we'd all, you know, we all maybe look back at our applications and we feel like maybe we could have modified things or changed things a little bit. But I think you know, we've gotten approval here. We're looking to approve Mike's recommendation and release that for public comment. And what I would suggest is that we entertain a motion to approve it. And if that motion fails, then we go back, you know, and maybe take another look at some of these applications. But with that being said, that could cause the entire program to slide. You know, I mean, Mike's work aside, you know, having to go back and look at applications, you know, keep in mind that, you know, if we don't stay on track, that we could lose really important time in keeping this program on schedule. Those are my thoughts. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts or concerns about the proposal that Mike's put forward, or any comments about what Lake Bluff has brought on the table.
Yeah, I can see their concern, and I'm sure, like as you said, like other municipalities are going to do the same. Look at it. It's one of those things that you know, it's not anybody's fault in general, but it's more like a program. So, but my recommendation is what you're saying is to see if there's support, move forward. If not, you know, I'm sure that project will be on the list, and if some of these projects don't go, we can make that consideration and see the revised ranking. But what I'm saying is keep the 10 projects that are noted right now to be moved on, and then readjust their rankings, and then see where they fall.
Robert, this is Drew Irvin. May I speak, please?
Sure.
So I misunderstood you, Ramesh, or maybe I didn't, but are you suggesting that this recommended program go forward with the error, which directly impacts Lake Bluff, and that we're knowingly pushing forward an erroneous program?
I don't know about that. I think erroneous is, you know, that's a strong word, Drew. I think, you know, what Bob and Mike are trying to say is that, you know, at the time of submission, everybody had a submission at the time when the, you know, your project was brought into their consideration, right? They reviewed all the information. You know, even now, even if I find one project right now, you know, there's a deadline that we need to submit all the information, and Mike has to evaluate based on the available information. So it is not fair now to take some of the projects which did the right thing, and by submitting, and they recommended what my suggestion is. Again, this committee has to approve it. My suggestion is, like as Bob said, just take the vote. If you don't get the votes, then see if they consider your project, or we take the votes and then we ask Mike to take your you know, that point system, and then recalculate these rankings and see where you fall.
Yes. If the motion passes, we're moving along with Mike's recommendation. Yeah. If not, we're going to retool things.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Lake Bluff then should make the recommendation, or make the motion to request that this information program not move forward until and unless the ratings have been corrected.
May I
Well,
have a quick
if the
question?
motion, if the motion on the table fails, then we're accomplishing the same thing.
May I ask a quick question? This is Erica from Hawthorne Woods. Is
Go
this
ahead,
the first time like County Council Mayors is hearing about this concern in this meeting today?
No, so this, I received a call on Tuesday about this scoring.
That's, you don't have to explain. I was just wondering if this was a surprise or not. So if you want to explain, you can, but I was just wondering.
Yeah, so I mean, I can pull up. So this is the quarterly status update that was submitted for the project and how we scored the project. So, you know, what the point that Jeff made is correct, that IDOT will not accept pre-final plans without funding being in place. And, you know, there's no argument there that is a true statement. The issue that I had in scoring the project, you know, and we discussed this at our meetings when we were talking about changes to how the application would work last year, was that in 2020, the schedule information that we had in our application didn't have as many sort of milestone categories. And so I felt like it led to too much interpretation on my part of where projects were truly at. And so we, as staff, recommended that we use this quarterly status update for that schedule information, so that I was not trying to interpret where projects were at. We could really understand it. So in the status update that was submitted, you know, it does show an actual date here of March 30th, 2020 for design approval being received for the project. So phase 1 is complete. But in the phase 2 section, there is not information filled out other than the date when they expect to submit pre-final plans based on their requested funding. The issue that I have in scoring this project is, you know, if their phase 2 work is done, there are these subsequent milestones within the phase 2. The village selecting a phase 2 consultant, that actual date could have been put in there. The phase 2 kickoff meeting, the phase 2 Fed coordination meeting, those other things prior to having to submit pre-final plans that have been completed were not. You know, in the application instructions that were posted on our website with the application guidance, you know, it lists out where we're going to score the data from the application. The data sets that don't come from the application were detailed out, you know, and it does say, you know, I don't know the status of everyone's projects. There are 60 projects. I don't know them. You know, the information submitted on the application is what we will use to score the projects. We're not, you know, and that we weren't going to change scoring after they were submitted after that deadline. So that's what we used. We used what was submitted to score the project. I very much understand where Lake Bluff is coming from. Everyone is supposed to advocate for their projects. I have no issue with that whatsoever at all. And if the committee, you know, decides that they want to make this adjustment, we can make this adjustment. It is not, you know, at my perspective, I feel like I followed what we said we were going to do. If we need to make adjustments now, happy to do so. So, you know, that's kind of where we're at today. And to be clear, the action today and next week is not approving the program. It's just releasing it for a 30-day public comment through the month of July. We will look to approve a recommended program in August, and that gets submitted into CMAP's TIP and go through the CMAP committee structure. So right now, what we're looking to do is release it for a public comment, whether that's this recommended program or an amended one. We are required to do a 30-day public comment.
Chair Phillips, may I?
Yes.
This is Drew Urban again, Lake Bluff. Mike, thank you for that information. I would like, Dan, could you address that in terms of how we answered and why we answered the way we did so that everybody understands this? And I just, the only thing I would like to say is I think if for the integrity of this process, it seems imperative that the program that is accurate is the one that is shared with the public. I think it's a mistake to push something else out and then have to redirect that battleship later. That seems imperative that as the number of engineers and professional technicians on this call would be in alignment with that. But Dan, would you quickly go through what we talked about when our responses to this and how they're accurate yet don't necessarily result in the scoring that it should reflect?
Sure, Drew. So just addressing a couple of those, going back to that phase 2 engineering box. This wasn't a federally funded phase 2, so most of these items are NA. There would be no phase 2 PBS, there would be no PPI, no engineering agreement submitted to IDOT because IDOT doesn't want to see anything from a local. So the application and the phase 2 engineering section does end up with a lot of NAs, and we could have, I believe the consultant selection by the council board actually did have dates in it with this program, with this actually Excel sheet changing mid-flow that somehow got dropped, but I have the previous quarterly status updates having a date of 9/1/2019 for phase 2 selection. Phase 2 kickoffs we can put that in there, but we would need another phase 2 kickoff. IDOT doesn't want to see anything on phase 2 unless the project is funded. So really what we were trying to be was as honest as possible with where we were at and where the project would be moving forward. If you scroll down on that quarterly status update, that 8/23 pre-final plan submittal, it coordinates exactly with what the construction schedule would be. So it's not that we didn't fill out this form. If you keep going down, we have every construction date in there as if we were getting federal funding for the final PS&E on 10/23. So I mean, I think we were talking a little bit. I think we were both right in how we filled out this form. Whether it was in the past, we felt like that was an inaccurate representation because we would have to do another pre-final submittal to IDOT, and we didn't want to lie or fib our application. So if that addresses the concerns right there, we were trying to be as honest and forthright with the council as we could be.
Gentlemen, I think we've heard your case. And as Mike said, this doesn't approve the program, but it just releases it for public comment. By approving this to release it for public comment, if we do approve it, then we're not going to, then Mike and his team won't be taking another look to revise applications. But if it doesn't get approved, then we'll direct Mike and his team to take another look, but they'll have to be fair. So he'll have to kind of look back at the entire program, I would imagine. So.
Well, I don't, I respectfully disagree. I think if other members have factual discrepancies, and I don't know if I've heard any more today, it seems to me that's not necessary. It's just simply addressing this issue and correcting the error.
And that could be the case, Drew. You know, it could be a simple thing, but I think we still have to vote to release it or not. And it could be a simple thing for Mike to look at one application. But I know it's not just going to be one. I'm certain of that. So, you know,
so can respectfully, can the village make, Jeff, can you make the motion?
Make a motion to not release it to the public until the scoring is corrected?
Yes.
Yes, I can make that motion.
Is there a second for that motion? I'm not hearing a second. Is there a motion to approve the recommended releasing for public comment?
So move.
Hoppenwood, second.
We've got a motion and a second. Mike, can you do roll call, please?
Yes, Beach Park,
Aye.
Buffalo Grove,
Aye.
Deerfield,
Aye.
Fox Lake,
Aye.
Hawthorne Woods,
Aye.
Highland Park,
Yes.
Lake Bluff,
No.
Lake Forest,
Yes.
LCDOT,
Yes.
Libertyville,
Yes.
Lincolnshire,
Yes.
Lindenhurst,
Yes.
Long Grove,
Aye.
North Chicago,
Yes.
Round Lake,
Yes.
Wadsworth,
Aye.
Waukegan,
Yes.
Zion.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mike. Moving
Thanks,
on
everybody,
to,
for hearing us out. I appreciate that. Don't necessarily like the outcome or agree with it, but I appreciate everybody hearing.
thank you. Moving on to other business. Mike, is there anything else to discuss?
I have no other business today. Just to reiterate what Russell from CMAP has said, there are a number of funding opportunities. We included some in the meeting email today. CMAP has been pushing them out in their newsletter. You can also find them on grants.gov, but there are a number of new funding opportunities to be aware. We'll keep sending those out, but no other business.
Okay, thank you. Is there any public comment, Mike?
Let me check here. I have not received any.
Okay. The next meeting is August 18th, 2022. And with that, I'll call the meeting to adjournment. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Whoa, Bob, you gotta don't you take a motion?
Not to close the meeting in virtual format, I don't think.
Oh,
Mike, I can adjourn the meeting, can I?
Yeah, we can declare it adjourned, yes.
Thank you.
beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks, Ramesh. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.